You guys hanging out in the back if you want. There's plenty of seats in here, or you can stand up, however you feel. Okay, first off, happy Monday, and some reminders for you. Buy your parts. Okay. Checkpoint 3 is coming quickly, as is checkpoint 2, but you need to be up and running very soon, so you don't want your fans and batteries sitting at the FedEx office while you're waiting and your hovercrafts do. So please make sure you buy your parts sooner than later. Second up, checkpoint 2 is in your skills lab by next week. You need to complete checkpoint 2 prior to your presentation, your oral presentation. So oral presentations are next week. So you either need to get your checkpoint stuff to your TA this week or hand them the paperwork right before presentations. Okay, but make sure you get that done. They've got to be done before your presentation. Okay. Design concept presentations are in Skills Lab next week. All week, Monday through Friday, you guys have your presentations. Hopefully the lab last week helped you guys out in public speaking. You had some good practice with that. Please also, I'll show you the grade sheet. Make sure you look at it. Grand Challenges quiz is due next Monday by 11:59 p.m. And today's lecture is on the Grand Challenges. So today's lecture, you've got a quiz coming 1 week from today. Make sure you do that on time. Checkpoint 3, as I said, is coming up. It will be on Wednesday and Thursday, November 7th and 8th. Okay? And I believe this time the hours are a little shorter. It's 10 to 5. It'll go a lot faster than the last one because you can meet with the TA or Dr. Lacombe or I, any of us, so you don't have to wait in line for Dr. Lacombe and I. So it should go faster, but it'll be on Wednesday and Thursday. Again, you guys are excused from one member, but otherwise everyone needs to be there. So checkpoint 3, you will be up and hovering, which is why I say buy your parts, because that comes up quick. You want time to build and troubleshoot. Grade forecasts are now available on WebCT. Okay? Make sure you are watching your grades. It's very nice and convenient for you guys that your grades are up constantly. Take advantage of that. If you see a discrepancy, something you think should be higher and it's not, or you turned in, you've got a 0, I would check with your TA first since they do the majority of the grading, okay? And then check with Dr. Lacombe or I, and we will help you out. Send an email, but don't wait until the end of December, because by then it's really hard on your TAs and on us. So please take care of that now. It's easier to argue earlier than later. All right, book rental. This applies to about, I don't know, 18, 20% of you. The deadline is Thursday by 7 p.m. On Thursday at 7 p.m., we need to have your textbook rental form. It needs to be paid for and signed. So this has a cashier's stamp on it, okay, $25. If you do not get it submitted by Thursday at 7, we will go back and change all of your reading scores for the semester from day 1 up until now, till this week, to be 0s. Okay. After that, okay, all assignments from October 25th on, okay, that's Thursday, you will get 0s until we get your textbook slip, your receipt. So make sure that you go pay for your book. I believe the cashier's office, you can get there, I'm thinking 9 to 5. Okay, so today's probably out unless you run when we get done with class. But you've got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you wait till Thursday at 6 p.m., it's too late. Okay, you got to see the cashier before 5, because that's when they close. You should also realize sometimes the cashier's office gets busy and there's a line, so I really wouldn't wait until 4:55 on Thursday. It's probably a bad idea. Okay? So this is a huge warning to you. You guys have had all semester. We are happy not to have to continue nagging you guys. There'll be an announcement on Wednesday, and then that's it. But buy your textbook. It's $25. Most engineering textbooks are like on the order of $150 if you're lucky, probably closer to $200. So $25 is a super deal extended to us by the publisher. But now we have a bill we need to pay, so you guys need to pay. Okay, questions about that? All right. Skills Lab scheduled this week. Today, if you have Skills Lab on Monday, you guys meet. And the session is on public speaking, and then checkpoint 2 possibly, if you're ready. Okay. The rest of you guys, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there is no Skills Lab. Yeah, all right. So the Monday's class got Labor Day. You guys did not. Now we're all catching up. So there's no Skills Lab for the rest of the week. There is, however, a lecture on Wednesday at 4 p.m. as usual. Okay. So you get your Skills Lab, those hours of your life back, but not now. That would be an ideal time, though, for your group to meet and go over your presentation. If you need to, go meet in the lab. Okay, and also get your checkpoint 2 stuff together if you haven't. Yes? She asked, will the skills lab itself be open? Yes, the EDL, the lab is open daily from, well, weekdays from 10 to 7. Okay? So it is a nice time. Your TA should be around then. You can catch them and get your checkpoint done if you need to. All right, questions about that? Cool, happy Halloween and all that for Friday. All right, so when is checkpoint 2 actually due? This is your first clicker question. When is checkpoint 2 actually due? And I'm going to switch it, question 2, and ready, go. Today, this week, by oral presentation number 1, Nevada Day, or checkpoint 3. Five seconds, get in your answer quick. All right, we have by oral presentation number 1. Again, your checkpoint 2 is due before your oral presentation. So you do it this week, or find your TA and do it, or you can hand them your paperwork before your presentation. Make sure you get it done. Questions about that? The answer is by oral presentation number 1. 3. Choice 3. Sorry. All right. Checkpoint 2. As I said, it's due. Okay? You need a parts list and the cost. So your bill of materials needs to be up to date with all the prices, everything you paid. You need a copy of your receipts. Anything that you purchase for your hovercraft, bring a receipt for it. Your deck material, you need a receipt or bring the deck itself. Okay? 20 points. So think about all that goes into your hovercraft and make sure you've got it here on time. Go to Web Campus and due soon, and you'll see checkpoint 2. I cannot say enough. If you guys would just look at the grading rubrics, you will do well. Look at it and know what's due so you don't forget anything. Okay? Because the TA or myself, we go through check by check and just look at each line. So make sure you've got the grading sheet and you've got everything that goes with it. Again, it's due before your oral presentation. All right. Oral presentation number 1, you guys talked about in lab last week and what goes into a good oral presentation. To recap, first off, all sections have their presentations next week, starting Monday. So you Monday people are now the first to go instead of the last. Okay, presentations, again, Monday through Friday. 5-minute minimum, 7-minute maximum. You will lose points if it's less than 5 or greater than 7. If you hit 10 minutes, your TA will turn off the computer on you and shove you aside. You don't get to talk past 10 minutes. Okay. There is a dress code. Please check out chapter 12 in your book. It'll say essentially business casual. Give me one sec. Also in the grading sheet, when you go to read the rubric, which is in due next and deliverables and all this good stuff, it has a dress code on there, and it says no chewing gum, no sunglasses, no cell phones ringing. I've actually seen someone answer their cell phone during a presentation. Don't do it. Let's see. Don't text your friends or update your Facebook while you're up there. No shorts. No short skirts, like inappropriately short skirts. No jeans. Okay. So basically, probably something along the lines of khakis and a collared shirt for guys. Say nice pants shirt for girls or a nice skirt. Yeah. Question. Oh, and no tennis shoes. Sorry. Shh, you guys be quiet so I can hear his question. Go ahead. Are you allowed to what? Yeah, the TA should give you a time signal. It's up to them in their class how they run it, but they will give you notification that you're 1 or 2 minutes or whatnot. Okay? Yeah. At the EDL, when you do your checkpoint 2, bring receipts for everything you have. They have your rental kit marked down, so you'll be okay. But you need to get receipts. Yeah. So you guys, on this whole receipt thing, if you purchase something, you have a receipt. It's probably in your email if you ordered it, okay? Or you can contact the company and get it. If you got parts donated to you, find the fair market value and put it in your bill of materials in your budget with like an asterisk by it denoting that it was given to you, but the fair market value is whatever. Yeah. Okay, he asked if you bought fans from the EDL, so you got them for a markdown price most likely, and you don't have a receipt. What I would do again is put them in your budget for what you paid for them, put an asterisk by it, and you'll have a row at the bottom with an asterisk that says denoting, you know, fans picked up from the EDL at a fair market value or something like that. Okay? You don't have to make anything up. We just want you to be upfront about it. That's all. Anybody else? Yes. If you don't have any other types of shoes other than tennis shoes, it's minus 1 point. Yeah. So maybe you can borrow some from a roommate or something like that. That's a good question. He said, so if I wear tennis shoes or I decide to answer my phone or something, he didn't say that, but if you get a 1 point deduction, that's on the whole group's grade. Okay. Same with if someone misses in your group, it's a point deduction. So if you would please take a look at the grading rubric online, you'll see all this. Presentation is limited to a max of 10 minutes. Okay. It's not necessary for all members to talk, but it's encouraged. Okay. You all have to stand up there though at least. You need to follow the grade sheet. It tells you the exact slides you need and what order they need to be in. Make sure that you follow those rules. Also, you need a PDF uploaded or you lose 5 points. Go through, please. I don't have the grade sheet exactly downloaded at the moment. But some of them are big, like 15-point deductions. Okay, so make sure that you follow exactly what it says. Appearance, delivery, quality visual aids, adherence to instructions, all that stuff. Okay? Take a look at the grading sheet. It's the best way to do well. Yeah? No? It would be, it's a 1 point deduction for each infraction. So 5 pairs of tennis shoes equals 5 points. Yeah. So borrow things or go to Savers or whatever you got to do. You'll need them all through, you guys, your whole time in engineering. Almost every class, they make you do a presentation. So, and they require you to wear this business casual attire. So it's nice to have at least one outfit around for that sort of thing. Okay? All right. Also, with your presentation, you guys need to have your work distribution form completed. Okay? It's minus points if someone doesn't sign it. So if you know someone's not going to show up, make sure they sign it before they don't show up. Okay? Make sure you have that in class. All right. Any questions about what's due? Yes? Well, tell us. If someone is out that sick where they can't come to campus for a week, they probably would have emailed us with a doctor's note or something. So, well, that's case by case. Okay. Good question. Anybody else? Anybody? All right, to the topic of the day then. Engineering Grand Challenges. There are 14 Grand Challenges identified by the National Association of Engineers. And so we're going to go over each of these 14 today, and I've got some videos in here. We'll see how far we get. It might continue with Dr. Lacombe on Wednesday. All right, so I've got a video to start.
The focus of our Grand Challenge study, it was not just thinking about what could be invented, but was rather more focused on what needed to be invented.
Louder?
These problems are no longer simply those of business or politics. That if we don't have the appropriate leadership in technology and development of new solutions to these problems, they simply will not be solved.
This next century is going to be one that is very different. It is going to be one that does look at broad and integrated concepts like the vulnerability of our world, like the sustainability of our way of life and our environment, and the betterment of civilization. You know, the contributions that engineering can make to the health of our environment is extraordinary. It's only going to be engineering that will get us where we want to go. These are issues that are affecting the global planet. These are issues that are affecting every person's life, and will be more so in our children's and their children's generation.
In the case of nitrogen, there are ways of developing fertilizers that operate more efficiently, so you don't need to use so much of it, and better ways of distributing water and fertilizer to plants.
If we can crack any of these challenges having to do with energy, whether it's a total revolution in how solar cells work and how they can become economical, if it is even sequestering the carbon dioxide that is generated by burning of fossil fuels, if it is nuclear fusion, any one of these alone could be a game changer in a very important way.
So these are various technical challenges for dealing with the legacy problems from the 19th to the 20th century. This infrastructure that was built during the 20th century, including the electrical distribution infrastructure and the sewage infrastructure, the water distribution infrastructure, is decaying and deteriorating.
Reverse engineering the brain is actually a brilliant challenge because we're using Mother Nature's blueprint to understand exactly how this complex entity called the human brain works, how it functions.
The technologies developed by engineers to instrument the work of neuroscientists and the ability of engineers to understand, analyze, and work with extremely complex systems will enable us to do things like personalized learning and therefore improve the education for each individual.
We can't move into 21st century medicine without health informatics. It's that information that is the step, is the analytical tool that will explain elements of both prevention as well as therapy, of health, illness, wellness. Thanks to engineering and technology, we will be able to break into a whole new dimension of medicine.
Technology should not be just about fixing problems we face, but a way of giving us a better appreciation of who we are and what our universe is. Virtual reality is already here in some forms. We still are very fuzzy on how it can be most effectively used in the future. This is not dealing with a problem we are facing today. It's looking for a way of giving us a broader vista of life, giving us a greater appreciation of our own potential.
We are on a planet that is shrinking. Many of the threats, the nefarious threats like a nuclear bomb, and also the natural threats, they bring us all together. We are not just an isolated nation or an isolated state or community or individual. And I think that engineering is going to enable us to look at this in a much more global way and come up with solutions that are for all of us.
Another legacy of the 20th century is the vulnerability of the cyberspace on which we have become dependent. So we need to be developing the processes and technologies that will reduce that vulnerability.
We know we can make clean water, but wait a minute, right now it's just too expensive. Whether it's reverse osmosis or some other nano approach where you can do it even better, we will be able to make this not only faster, better, cheaper, but more widely available.
These grand challenges will stretch our human capability for understanding and creativity. Otherwise, they wouldn't be grand challenges. So these are things that this committee of international experts and creative people can see as possibly being solvable. They have the ring of things that we can and must do. The precise path is unknown. That's what makes them challenges, and their deep importance is what makes them grand challenges.
Advancing society is about technology, and our children and our children's children are going to feel the benefits of the grand challenges of engineering. Engineers have a very, very challenging job ahead of them. I think they're up to it.
Okay, so that's the 14 grand challenges outlined by the NAE. So we're going to go through those each one here. We've got a few more videos. I will ask that you guys keep your side conversations to a minimum. I know it's already hard to hear in here. There's a lot of people. If you choose to do something else, at least do it quietly so you're not distracting the people around you who are listening. Thank you for that. So the grand challenges are, if you miss them, make solar energy economical, provide energy from fusion, develop carbon sequestration methods, manage the nitrogen cycle, provide access to clean water, restore and improve urban infrastructure, advance health informatics, engineer better medicines, reverse engineer the brain, prevent nuclear terror, secure cyberspace, enhance virtual reality, advance personalized learning, and engineer the tools of scientific discovery. So these are the 14 grand challenges that have been laid out as a challenge to future engineers to come up with ways to address these issues. This could be a career choice for you. It could be something you get into a business that's trying to save the world, so to speak, through one of these grand challenges. And it would be very interesting work, I would assume, depending on your interests. So we'll break these down a little bit more. One more video here.
Out of each generation steps a few bold individuals, bright dreamers and tenacious doers, who envision a smarter world, who evolve the promise of today into the joy of tomorrow. We call them engineers, but they also go by explorer, inventor, artist, game changer, rocket launcher, the century ahead possesses even greater challenges, with epic opportunities to dream the incredible and create what was believed to be the impossible. How will your dream forge a better future?
Nature is the very best engineer there is. Nature's had 4 billion years to fine-tune these organisms to solve an immense array of problems. They extract energy and materials from their environment better than any human engineer knows how to do. I don't think there is a more important theme than sustainability. For the last 50 years, we have been pumping our riches out of the ground in the form of fossil fuels, and everyone knows that's a finite supply. Synthetic biology is building new biological systems, taking what nature is giving and putting it into whole new forms. So what we do is build organisms whose primary purpose in life is to generate interesting and useful biofuels rather than more organisms. Well, one of the organisms we work with is just your ordinary garden variety kitchen yeast, which happily make ethanol, only we re-engineer their genetic code so that instead of ethanol, we make drop-in fuels like isobutanol and things that can be converted right into real hydrocarbons.
We have huge problems. We have global climate change. That's a big problem. We have energy problems. We need to be able to develop better storage capability to deal with episodic energy supplies, whether it's photovoltaic, which doesn't work when the sun isn't shining, or wind power, which doesn't work when the wind isn't blowing. These young people are facing a very complex world ahead of them, one which has a lot of environmental issues, and engineers are the ones that solve those problems.
You can already buy solar panels for your home. The bottom line is it just takes a long time before you see a return on your investment. If solar cells were more efficient and cheaper, then you would see that return on your investment several years earlier. And that's happening. There's new technology that I believe will increase the efficiency by maybe 5 or 6%, maybe even 10%, and that will have a radical change in terms of making solar energy more affordable. Our society in the United States even is looking to engineers to help move this country forward beyond the current economic recession that we're in. The grand challenges that the National Academy of Engineering have laid out is a perfect visionary focus for them. And I think our students today are just so innovative. Eventually we'll get there.
Is anyone in the renewable energy minor program? Some of you guys? One person? That's it? That is sad. You should recruit some members. Seems like a great program. Okay. So today is obviously Grand Challenge Day, so I've got lots of videos again and some talk for you, going over trying to show you guys the future of engineering and inspire you maybe towards a career that you hadn't thought about, and trying to solve these big problems.
Well, engineering does go hand in hand with healthcare in many, many ways. I mean, if you're creating a medical device like a pacemaker or a stent, if you're delivering a cancer drug just to the cancer cell and no other place in the body, that's engineering. Engineers can create things that have and will change the world. Certainly when you think about it, I mean, human health is just clearly one of the huge challenges of the future. Thinking about how we can engineer better medicines, better medical devices, someday even tissues and organs. Those are things that could just save lives, both in this country and across the whole world. I think that when we go to the future, one of the things that's going to be increasingly important is personalized medicine. Now a lot of drugs and devices is kind of a one-size-fits-all. Everybody takes the same medicines and takes the same devices. But when you really look at somebody's genome or somebody's genetics, that's not necessarily the right thing to do.
So this is an early version of our facial expression reading technology. And here you see a bunch of points on my face that are found using computer vision software. And we use that information to try to interpret what's going on with the person emotionally. As we learn more about how emotions work, we learn, for example, that they are influencing every organ in the body, and that includes your brain. The emotions can go out of whack and exacerbate health conditions. So as we build technology that helps us to measure and communicate and understand emotions better, we're also getting insights into what signals in our body are changing that are affecting our health.
I think we take clean water for granted in the US, but if you think about it globally, one of the major causes of death with young infants and with populations in developing countries is lack of access to clean water. So if you think of a village in Africa where women have to walk miles to just get water to cook, if they had access in that village to enough water, these women and children would have the ability to lead a much better life. My work, when I first started looking at water quality issues, focused mostly on evaluating a more sustainable way of treating groundwater. Rather than pumping it up to the surface to clean it up, we focused on using indigenous bacteria that are present in the soil and encourage them to break down the dangerous chemicals, and this is what we call bioremediation. I think engineering works when innovation is at play. For anyone that has a sense of curiosity, that is interested in seeing how the puzzle pieces fit together, that is interested in science and math, engineering is a wonderful field to go into, because this is where you can really impact change.
All right, anyone going to med school after engineering school? One person? Cool. Sounds good. Two people? All right. Moving forward.
The satellites that help
now.
launch are supportive of our military's involvement across the country and across the world. We're supporting the everyday soldier who is overseas. My first design class with satellite comm was fairly shortly after Hurricane Katrina had occurred. And our design project was focused on what could have been a communications system overall that could have helped the efforts post-Katrina to rescue people and to get the resources down there that were needed. It resonated with me. It was something that, I felt like I can really make a difference by going into engineering and doing this kind of work.
Security has posed challenges in our civilization from the beginning. Infrastructure is critical for the function of any society, Unfortunately, a lot of our infrastructure is aged. So we are dealing with a product that is already in a bad condition because of the use and the normal fatigue it would have. A big challenge is how we evaluate the risk and the cost associated with our risk in going further and retrofitting our infrastructure. It's hard to predict still with the technology we have the magnitude and the time that an earthquake is going to happen. And of course it's hard to get into the minds of terrorists that will think of different actions on our infrastructure. So we need more and more bright people to get involved in these challenges.
Securing cyberspace is a big challenge. It's very clear that the internet is a wide-ranging communication system. It's used by over 2 billion people. We are clearly and deeply dependent on this communication system for an increasing number of things we do every day. So it's essential that this medium be increasingly reliable and increasingly secure. If the internet is penetrable, if people can do bad things on the net, if they can penetrate your computer, if they can get in and do keyloggers to catch your usernames and passwords and so on, there's all kinds of really bad abuse that can happen, whether it's identity theft or the access to an account that you don't want somebody to have, or exposure of personal information that you didn't want to share. And to make it worse, it's international in scope. So the jurisdiction of any one law enforcement agency is limited, and the attacks and the victims can be on either side of national borders. So this is a big problem. It's not just technology. It's about people's behaviors. It's about international agreements and treaties. And it's about better quality software. So there's lots of work to be done. It deserves the title Grand Challenge.
Computer scientists, yeah? Some of you guys? Okay. What's that? I wasn't watching that carefully, to be honest. Sorry. I think I saw some MATLAB and some C++. But, all right, moving forward.
Our society was built upon scientific and engineering advances. The engineering that helped drive things forward was, in large part, driven by people trying to make life better. In the field of computer graphics, we used reality as a benchmark until we started to make pictures that actually looked like they were real. Virtual reality is trying to do that in a real-time way so that you can interact with it in fairly significant ways. Then you can begin to convey new ideas to people. You can explore things which don't exist. So virtual reality is a way of making a larger space within which we can work and test our ideas and think and create. And the thing I love about engineering is trying to figure things out. How do things work? What do we do with them? How do we solve problems? This is creating the future.
The game industry has been around for a very, very long time. Some of the first programs it created were computer games. There's quite a number of people who are excited about the concept known as gamification. The notion is, can you use ideas from games to incentivize or motivate things in work? For example, brushing your teeth or filling out your taxes. What if, by doing these rather mundane work-like things, you get points, rewards, badges? In IBM, we're interested in trying to apply these concepts to education, training, compliance, security.
94% of life on this planet is in the oceans. We're just a tiny minority. We walk around on a little 1/3 and we call it Earth. 2/3 of the planet is unexplored. It's for the next generation.
If we're ever going to understand this planet, if we're going to go in the oceans, we're going to have to move with these animals. We've got to go fly in that space.
When engineers dream, things happen.
What should we be doing now that will be needed 25 years from now? Well, why don't we develop the capability to network across the solar system in order to support manned and robotic space exploration? Why don't we figure out how to build a space-based internet? So we developed a suite of protocols, which we now plan to standardize for all the spacefaring nations. Then every time we launch a new mission to someplace in the solar system, we'll be able to use those protocols for the spacecraft to talk to each other and back to planet Earth. When they've completed their final mission, they can be repurposed to be nodes of an interplanetary backbone. So that's what engineers do. They turn science fiction into reality. That's engineering.
All right, so making life better. Is that anyone's goal? Anybody want to work for NASA? Something like that? Yeah? Anyone still just want to design sports cars? To heck with these grand challenges? Yeah. All right, let's keep going. So the videos have gone over the 14 grand challenges briefly for each one, and so then I've pulled out the highlights, I think, of each of the 14 challenges so we can have a further discussion about it. And then keep in mind you guys have your grand challenges quiz due a week from today. So whatever I don't finish up, Dr. Lacombe will pick up on Wednesday for you guys. So one of the grand challenges that we mentioned is making solar energy economical. Right now, solar energy accounts for less than 1% of the energy we use worldwide. But the sun is an abundant source of energy. It's clean, sustainable, right? It's always around, at least during daylight hours. And it's free, right? So it's an excellent source of energy. When you talk about solar energy, you'll hear people talk about active and passive. Passive is something that we can utilize when we build something. Like if you were going to build a house and you wanted to take advantage of the sun, you would place your house facing south because that's where you get the most sun during the day, and so you can collect the most. You might build your foundation with a thermal slab or just build it with concrete, so you have those bare concrete floors that are in style these days. The sun comes in your windows and it heats up that slab, and then that slab will radiate heat the rest of the day. So you can get free heat out of that just by the way that you orientate your house. There's also such things, you want to have your windows facing the south and the north and all this so you can collect energy. You can utilize deciduous trees. Those are the ones that lose their leaves. So that way, in the summer, they can block the sun from coming in your house. In the winter, they lose their leaves and they let the sun in, so you get free heat. Okay, so that's kind of passive solar energy. Active solar energy refers to, the first thing you guys probably think of is photovoltaics or PVs. And those are those panels you see on people's houses. Does anyone live in a house with solar PV? 1, 2 people? It's nice. You don't get a power bill, right? Really nice. So the way those work is they collect solar energy and they convert it directly into electricity. And they do that using phosphorus and silicon. And they're sandwiched together and electrons can move through. It's a long process you can get into in the renewable energy program. There's also solar thermal, and that's basically using the sun to heat up another fluid. And then you take that fluid and you can create steam, which turns a generator and a turbine, and so you get energy that way. Concentrating solar refers to basically using mirrors in order to increase that heat factor of solar thermal. Okay, so there's lots of ways that we can use the sun to energize, but the problem is right now, it's not economical. Right? It's really expensive. You put solar panels on your house, it takes a good 20 years to pay itself off. So in order to make it economical, we need things to be more efficient. Okay, so that's something that engineers can work on. We need to look into new materials. And we also need to look into storage. What happens at night? Right? When the sun goes down, you have to have a good storage solution, which could be batteries or what battery technology can improve or whatnot, but ways to store this energy. So making solar energy more economical is the first grand challenge. All right, second one we were talking about is providing energy from fusion. You guys heard about this? All right, so Einstein says that E equals mc squared, classic equation, right? And what it basically means is that he is saying that energy and mass are somewhat interchangeable, right? Energy can be created out of mass. And so in the way, his equation to justify that is that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. And so this applies to fusion because basically in this example here we've got deuterium, which is a form of hydrogen. So hydrogen is very abundant. Okay? And we're fusing it with tritium, which comes from lithium. Okay? Tritium is hard to come by and expensive, but lithium is very, very abundant on the Earth. So you're taking those two molecules, and they get fused together, and the way that happens is through a very, very high heat, okay, and then lots of pressure. And this is how the sun gets its energy. All right? So those atoms fuse, And then they break apart, and you get helium on one side, and you get energy coming off, okay, is E equals mc squared, and then you get an extra neutron. So this could be, for one, it's a very clean energy source. Okay? Also, it's abundant. We've got lots of lithium, we've got lots of hydrogen. Okay? It's been proved to work on small scales, but the challenge is to make it large scale so we can make it commercially viable. Okay? But it would be a very clean and abundant source. So fusion could be good. Yeah. Yes. So fusion is putting two together and then you're taking out the energy. Right. But yes, atomic energy, you're basically breaking things apart. Breaking atoms apart. Good question. So a little bit different. This one is a lot safer, they say, because they can stop the reaction very easily. Yeah. Okay. So it's a good source. All right, moving forward here. All right, anyone heard of carbon sequestration? A couple of you guys? Okay. So we all know that humans are putting out lots of CO2 in the atmosphere. And most people agree that that CO2 is heating up the Earth. Some people will argue with you, or with me, or whoever. But CO2, they say, likely is causing global warming. Right? And so one of the challenges is to sequester the CO2 and put it deep into the Earth, or in the ocean, or someplace else where it's not getting into the atmosphere. And so the idea is to trap it, and they can make it into a solid using magnesium, okay, or just pumping it essentially into the ground. So in order, this diagram shows they've got this power station, so they're trying to capture the CO2, and then they're pumping it into the ground. The nice thing about this is if you pump it into oil fields, it actually makes it easier to get oil out. So if you've got an oil field that's basically depleted, but there's a little bit left, putting CO2 in there helps release that oil. So that's kind of nice. Anyway, so you put it in the ground and you want it someplace that's porous. So it's got a place to go, but it's got a non-permeable layer on top, so that way it can't escape back in the atmosphere. So it's basically taking all the CO2 we produce on a daily basis and burying it deep in the Earth. So that's a big challenge, right? Something to think about. How are we going to capture it? They've got a few ideas you guys can read about online. Yeah. Yeah, he asked, are there going to be consequences, I'll say, to pumping CO2 into the ground? And are we going to have to manufacture our own ecosystem? I would say, I'm no expert here, but if I was going to make an educated guess on this, I would say that yes, we could have problems. There's one thing they talk about is pumping CO2 in the ground is if you put it in a very porous place, do you have the potential of causing more earthquakes or something like that, which could cause problems. So I think for everything there is a bit of a chain reaction. In my personal opinion, it would be best if we could figure out how to not throw so much CO2 in the atmosphere. But since it's out there, we might as well do something about it also. So, good questions. All right. Next up is a clicker question. Consider the various forms of energy you use: electricity, gasoline, natural gas, etc. If it could be provided with no harmful impacts on your health, the environment, the economy, or national security, how much would you be willing to pay? One is no more than I pay now. So your current energy bill, current gas bill, whatever it is. 10% more than I pay now. 25% more than I pay now. 50% more. 100% more than I pay now, so double. Or 200%. So there's no negative aspects to you using whatever your favorite power source is. Which do you choose? Ready, go. You got 10 seconds. Looks like a few people are going to get in under the gun. 5, 4, 3, 2. Sorry to see how nice you people are. Let's see what we got. Ah. Wow. This is very, very, okay. So 24% of you do not care if the Earth gets destroyed or we go to war anymore. No, just joking. All right, 10% will pay. Let's see, 19% of you will pay 10% more. 26% of you, the majority say they'll pay a quarter more for their energy, knowing that there's no negative effects. That's pretty nice. The Earth will be safe. Going here, let's see, 16% said 50% more. So you pay what is gas right now? $4.50? $6.25 for gas a gallon? 100% more, 7%. 200% more, 9%. Who are my rich college students now? All right, pay for your book if you have any kids. Okay, let's go on here. What time is it? We got a couple more minutes. Okay. Okay, managing the nitrogen cycle. Anyone hear of the nitrogen cycle? A few of you guys. Okay. So nitrogen, it makes up like 78% of our atmosphere. And it's essential to food, which sounds kind of funny, but basically what happens is plants use nitrogen and they create amino acids. If you guys and anyone taken a health class recently, amino acids are proteins. Right? So the plants are producing proteins from nitrogen, and then the animals eat the plants, right? We eat animals and whatnot. But anyways, so we're producing protein from these nitrogens. Humans have managed to double the nitrogen in the atmosphere in the last 100 years or so. Double. So basically, we have thrown off the nitrogen cycle big time. We've put so much in the atmosphere, right, that the plants can't convert it, and it's thrown off this whole cycle, and you guys can check this out. Basically, in order to get nitrogen into a usable form for plants, we need some big source like lightning or something, like a big energy source. And that enables these microorganisms to convert the nitrogen which then plants use. And so then the animals eat the plants, there's extrication, they die, they decompose, nitrogen goes back in the ground, there's microorganisms that can either move it back to useful nitrogen or it goes back in the atmosphere, right, as NO2. So we are putting in a bunch of extra nitrogen because of the fertilizers we use, among other things. And what that's doing is that's creating more global climate change, I'll say, in the increasing way. And it is causing us to reduce the ozone layer. And it's increasing smog and all of these things. So one engineering grand challenge is to get the nitrogen cycle back to normal. So we need to reduce the amount of nitrogen that's going into the atmosphere. And we always talk about carbon, but we need to talk about nitrogen also. So I will leave you with those first 4 for the week, and Dr. Lacombe will pick up the last 10 on Wednesday. Have a good week.